Hey, you're watching the Go Crying the Walk-In podcast, and I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know. Today's guests are the Holy Black and the Holy Black Barbershop, and anybody who knows me understands that I'm what you call a barbershop groupie. I've been into this whole world my whole life, and I'm going to introduce the guys first. To my left is Kevin. In the middle is Tristan, and on the end is Maddie. Now, the two guys to my left, they're barbers at the Holy Black. Kevin's one of the partners, and on the end is Maddie. And him and his brother, basically, they invented this whole thing. And I'll tell a little bit about how I came involved with the Holy Black, and then we'll talk to the guys. Like I said, I've always been a groupie with the barbershops. I've always been out there searching. And, unfortunately, you move around. A guy drops out, a guy goes here, a guy goes there. And I was in the middle of something. And with my head, I could always just shave my head. You know what I mean? I could take the thing down. But then I started wearing a beard. I mean, I always wore a little goatee, but then a beard became something. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And then I would get it really big. And then, you'd go into these barbershops and you'd be like, you'd have videos, Instagram stuff. You'd be like, yo, can we get down like this? And everybody's like, yeah, of course. And then, I see it getting mangled as I'm sitting there. So, like, on my third barbershop, I just Googled best beard trim, whatever. And a Reddit came up with a kid. This kid's name was Ray. He worked in a Guido shop in Smithtown. Shout out to Ray.
Shout out to Ray Altamira.
Ray Altamira. He worked in like a Guido shop, and it was not a cool place for me. But he was the first guy in a long time to do what I wanted, So we were there for a short time, and then I get a text from Ray. Listen, we're not going to be at the Guido shop no more. I can't remember what the name was. But I'm going to be at this place, Iron and Shred Barbershop. And I was like, wow, that's a really cool name. Now, I live in Setauket. I work in Huntington. I never find my way to Sayville unless someone shows me how to get there. So I go in there, and now I'm in this place, and now I'm like, wow, this is me. I'm at home. This is mad cool. But the only thing is like I'm sitting there, and I'm in Ray's chair, and Ray's cool, but I'm looking across, and Kevin, and I'm like, I need that guy to cut my fucking hair. You know what I mean? And, you guys understand, you can't tell the one barber, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a bad situation. So I'm stuck with Ray, right? Before pandemic comes. But all the while, I'm seeing Holy Black things on the shelf. I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. And I'm like, wow, that's just a bitchin' name. You know what I mean? And that whole imagery is just so, it speaks to me. So I go, I went on Instagram and, boom, and I'm seeing videos, and the guys are making things, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and pandemic comes, and nobody's getting a haircut no more. And then I find out that Kevin is now, through Instagram only, I find out that Kevin is going to be opening up a barbershop with these guys that I'm finding out who the Holy Black. And so I sent a DM to Kevin, and I was like, I'm tired of being on, you remember? I'm tired of being on the sidelines. Can I please get in the chair? And I go to the factory, and I sit in there. Now I'm in a place where you can't even believe. There's memorabilia, there's a gym, there's barber chair, there's 1,000 taxidermy heads all over the place. And I felt like I could maybe just, if I had a cot, I could live there in the corner or something.
Tristan did.
You know that feeling.
I think maybe Tristan did live there. I heard that, right. So without further ado, first I'd like to talk to Matt about the idea of the Holy Black and how your brother you and your brother came up with such a thing. Like, is this your family? Is this something you guys did in your family? Are you barbers in your family?
So pretty much my entire father's side and part of my mother's side were all barbers, and but it really stemmed from my one grandfather, my father's father, who was a barber, and when he passed away, we inherited all his straight razors and his aftershaves, all his stuff. And there was one aftershave in particular, it was Schulten's Old Spice from the 30s, and it was this fragrance that we were obsessed with, and we used to like both like share it and like not let anybody else touch it. We used to take real small little bits of it.
Dropper.
And, yeah. And my brother started like trying to recreate it, and like eventually, like he was just going. He bought like every fragrance on the internet, and he just kept trying until like he felt like he nailed it. And he started just making aftershaves and giving away his presents for Christmas and shit like that to his friends and family and stuff
Now,
like
when
that.
you say he bought fragrances, Matt, what do you mean? Like terpenes, or he bought other people's pre-made stuff and
So there's
tried
like-
to find what he liked?
So there's like fragrance houses and people that have like that mass produce different types of fragrances, and like he knew the different notes that were in there and like what he was looking for, but like no one made that exact fragrance. So he had to mix some things and put some things together and just trial and error for a long period of time, and like a bunch of terrible smelling things. And like I said, eventually he nailed it. And I remember when he did, he was like, "Smell this," and he's like, "Smell this, smell this."
Now,
smell.
what
He's
was
like-
the first thing that you guys like? What was the original scent that you were like, "This is Holy Black"?
Believe it or not, it's actually the fragrance that we still use today. Gunpowder Spice was in all of our, and we call it Gunpowder Spice because it's that old Schulten's Old Spice mixed with gunpowder was that one fragrance that he used that he made it smell like the old original Schulten's Old Spice.
Now, again, I don't want to interrupt, but like the word "Holy Black," that is a reference to black powder rifles.
So the term Holy Black is back when like they used to shoot black powder. Eventually, they switched over to smokeless gunpowder, and it was like much better for your guns, and like everybody, transitioned into that. But some people like to keep it traditional, stuck to using the original black powder. If you're asking what they shoot, like, I only shoot the Holy Black. So it's like a slang term for doing it like the old school way.
And it actually became like a slang term of anything that was really traditional and right. You know what I mean? Like, like if I was a chef and I was using like a certain tool or a certain thing, and someone was like, "Yo, what are you doing with that?" I'm like, and you could say, someone would say, "That's Holy Black."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it became bigger than just gunpowder and that type of thing.
And what's cool about that term is like, first of all, now like you can't find anything about that. Like you search Holy Black, we own it now. And like those two words in particular, holy and black, are just these really like trigger words that like and never put together. And like you put Holy Black on anything and people like need to know what it is.
I couldn't agree more. I swear to God,
No,
I
it's
couldn't agree
true.
more, man. It is like, it's a drug to me, I'll tell you that. And, so recently, I was in the barbershop and I said to Kev, I was like, I want to buy a razor, you know what I mean? Like, I want to get into shaving myself. And just so you know, guys, today was the first day I didn't cut myself.
You
with
look
the
good. I
razor.
noticed the
Yeah,
upper
nice.
lip. It looks
The first time I haven't cut myself. I was having a lot of trouble in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
tricky.
a normal razor, I would just come through. Again, I've been shaving my face. I'm 55. And I'd come through with all these other razors, and you cannot come through. You got to, like, stop and then come back and adhere.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time just getting used to it. I whacked up my nose the other day pretty bad. But
Keeps you on your toes, you know? It's
oh,
good.
talking about toes, if you drop that thing on your toe,
Oh, forget about it.
you might get hurt worse than cutting your
It's like
face.
a kitchen knife. You know how many people with the kitchen
Not for
knife,
nothing,
right?
Matt, but I got big paws. Maybe the next one has a little bigger handle. You know what I mean? I don't know.
That's the only thing you could drop.
I don't know if there's rules how big the handle has to be. But I remember saying to Kev, I was like, well, which one should I get? He's like, well, because, there's warnings on the one. Well, this is not for the beginner. I was like, well, what does that mean? You know what I mean? He's like, Chris, he showed me how it's angled. I was like, all right, let me get the beginner one first. And,
smart move.
yeah, I got that. The kids got it for me for Father's Day. You did a great, and again, like I said, your social media thing, man, is so on point, and I don't know if it's just natural for you and your brother, and I don't know if you studied this type of thing, but believe me, if I want to learn how to use social media, I'm looking at guys like you. I learned a lot of what to do from guys like you, and it's not just, hey, this is what I made today. You know what I mean? There's interest involved in this. We got a guy in the kitchen over there at Crust Hollow Country Club. The guy's 67, and he's worked at Crust Hollow for 39 years, okay? He came to this country as an immigrant. He never had another job his entire life. And, it was his birthday one day, you know what I mean? And it was like, no one ever celebrated the guy's birthday. He's just an old guy, just an old man sitting there. But you can't do the job without him. So I was like, we had his birthday, we got a cake, and, I did a little video and I put a little blurb, about the time that he spent at Crust Hollow. I never got more likes. I never got more comments on that thing. And it made me say to myself, you know what? It's not always about what I'm making today or what we made all week. It's about the interesting parts of our job. And I explain that to a lot of people that, again, that are confused with how you run social media. So, again, you do a killer job with that. And
Appreciate that.
and I really dig it. So, Kevin, I want to learn a little bit more about you, and
Sure.
tell everybody about how you started being a barber. And again, Kevin comes from a guy that was a rockabilly legend on Long Island, a guy that was in the scene, a person that I had watched playing music a long time. God rest his soul, your father.
Thank you.
I said that last time about a guy, and he didn't die, and someone told me.
Oh shit.
My last podcast, I was with a guy and I was like, "Oh, you remember Jimmy?" And I told the guy, "Oh, Jimmy, God rest his soul." And then I showed the podcast to a friend. He's like, "Chef, Jimmy didn't die." He goes,
God bless him anyways. God bless his soul anyways.
I go, "Jimmy didn't die." He goes, "Maria died. It was like one of his girls, his wife." I was like, "Wow, I can't take that back." But we
could all use a little bit of blessing on our souls.
but we're
you know?
gonna keep that plate. We could all use a little blessing.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, not to step all over you, Kev. But let's hear about you as a barber. Like, you got into the culture through your father, or no? You always wanted to do this.
So my father, like you said, he was involved in rockabilly my whole life. When I was a kid, like I knew about pomade, I knew about switchblades, like
Murray's.
Switchblades he was buying from his buddy's pizza shop after hours, like
I
after they
noticed you really
practiced.
into switchblades.
Yeah, always, man.
like
I love
that.
anything,
I like that.
But yeah, so I was always attracted to that culture. Like to me, that culture of like pinup tattoos and like the old school way, and that was always what I thought like the epitome of cool was, and I was always trying to chase like that kind of stuff. So I got into like probably the traditional tattooing first. My dad's friends had cool old tattoos. I remember going to like festivals in town and like getting like cool little like clipper ships and wearing those to school. But it was really like the haircuts. To me that's like what really brought like the style of a guy.
Now you went to barber school.
I did go to barber school.
Now that was like part of high school or like after high school.
I did audio production in high school, but after high school, probably like a year later, I got into barbering.
And there was like, you did that like a BOCES program that
I
kids
did-
could have done in high school,
Kids
right?
could have done. There were kids in my class, but it was an adult program.
I tell you right now, BOCES saved my life. I would have never made it through high
I
school.
took it seriously, man. I was on like the National Technical Honor Society, like all that stuff. I was Student of the Year.
So like that was like a vicar or like, what are they called? The kids with the red coats or something. Right?
I had something. Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that,
exactly. Yeah. I
When
had
they come to
something.
Crest
I had
Hollow and they
something.
do like an event where the kids all win their
Yeah.
awards. They're always at Crest Hollow.
Right. I got more
Forget
than
the
I got
name
from
of
high
it.
school. That I can
Skills
tell
or
you.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
More you got
skills.
from high school.
More than I got from high school. But yeah, that's what brought me into the culture, and I just took it really seriously and fell in love with it. I was always attracted to the art aspect of it, And you bring up the way they market and make stuff, and to me, like that, I was just attracted to that because they were doing it the old school way. It was done in like a super artistic, like they really cared. Like I care about what I do, you know what I mean?
So when you when you and your brother thought about opening this barbershop, how did that come about? That was something the three of you talked about, or you and your brother knew you always wanted to do it?
Me and Kevin always kind of talked about because like we just seen eye to eye with a lot of things
Right.
since the beginning. You know what I mean? And like to be honest, opening up a barbershop wasn't really something we planned on doing. You know what I mean? No, not ever. I mean, we always wanted to. Like deep down, I always wanted a
But
barbershop.
it wasn't
but, like,
part of the business plan.
No, definitely not. I mean, right now I could work from my phone, I could work from anywhere. I have no brick and mortar, there's nothing holding me anywhere. There's no reason I should start a barbershop.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
But what happened was our town that we're in, Lindenhurst, that we're at now, has been like It's where I'm born and raised. I've spent my whole life there, and it's just been exploding. And there's no real estate at all available. And that corner brick building, which I love, became available. And simultaneously, me and Kevin was like, we wanted to do something. It all kind of came to fruition all at the same time, and it was just like meant to be. And then like around that time that you started getting your haircut, he was like, pandemic hit, and they're cutting out of his driveway and shit like that. And we set him up in the barbershop in the compound, started doing haircuts, and like it was just like a natural thing. And then the whole team started coming together, and that's when Tristan came into play. Tristan came down, and we fucking all just like fucking hit it off, and he just decided to move on down to New York and join the team. We all started everybody was just cutting hair out of my warehouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was
And, like,
wild. I would go there. There's a
it
couple
was
of
wild.
guys had an apprentice in there, and and that's another cool thing, apprenticeship, because like our industries, barbering and chefs and even tattooing, we kind of like walk this parallel line, and apprenticeship is a big part of how young chefs made it up, and I know that you guys use that apprenticeship program to vet somebody to make sure that they're going to be a good mix or a good match. So, how do you feel about like apprenticeship as a whole? Is that something? Did you have an apprenticeship, Tristan? Let's
No,
hear
they
from you.
don't do that in Kentucky. I had to do 1,500 hours of barber school, and then after you get out of that, 6 months to a year of apprenticing in a barber shop. You can't go off the street and really cut hair, and they're strict about it in Kentucky.
So they don't mess around.
$500 fines, like cake,
Really?
baby.
What do you mean $500 fine?
So an inspector comes around. In New York, it's a little different. And an inspector can come around with a padlock. They can lock your shit up that day. They can, no lid on the trash can, $500. Next strip on the floor, $500.
So like the Board of Health here, like for a kitchen, they're kind of like, it's kind of like a governing body is saying.
Yes, exactly.
Safety, all these things.
It almost pushes you into the opposite direction, because the barber school I went to isn't the most reputable. They got shut down for fraud and shit. And I made it out. Yeah, I made it out right on time.
Did you pay all your tuitions in time, or did you make out?
I'm trying to get out of it as we speak.
If they're gone, they're gone. You know what I mean?
Well, they're still.
If there's no bursar or registrar, you can't send the check.
I was done wrong. I would like to be reimbursed. Biden, if you're watching, please.
Well, Biden?
Somebody.
Okay.
Help a brother out. I got 7 G's I need to erase.
7 G's, I like that.
Let's just forget it. Let's wash that. I think
Just walk away.
Yeah, me and Big Vinny will go down. We'll straighten
All right,
it out.
yeah.
We'll
Muscle
straighten
somebody
it
out.
I think it makes sense though, like you were saying though, Chris, because it's like those careers like tattooing, barbering, and like even like chef, culinary, like they're like lifestyle careers.
Walk the
like
line.
they're not something
Walk the
you
line.
clock in and then like you leave and you're not a chef anymore. Like you think in a creative way, you live your life like there's so much culture to those careers,
That sounds really cool. That's a great way to put it.
So when I bring an apprentice, like I find someone that's into culture, maybe it's not haircutting culture right out of the gate, but they like style, they like a certain artistic mindset. I think that's what makes a really good barber.
And you know what I like about Tristan when I go to the shop? He's like Floyd the Barber from Mayberry. He's got the smock on.
Yep.
Now, I don't know
love
if
that.
that's a Kentucky thing, a Mayberry thing, or whatever. You know what I mean? But that's the way I got it. You're cutting my little brother's hair now.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing him
Scotty's-
upright.
He looks good. man.
Yeah,
He looks
I know
good.
he does.
He was a rockabilly guy to the very end.
Yeah,
Until
I
now,
know.
couldn't even lift his arm anymore. 17 operations on his shoulder. And he was like, I went in there just before I was coming to see you. It was like, I was like, aren't you going to use a straight razor? He's like, well, I can't really lift my arm. I was like, I got it.
Oh,
I
no.
gotta go.
Kev, please take me in.
Hell yeah. It's
need
been,
him.
it's been magic ever
Chris,
since.
what inspired the no mustache beard? How long have you been rocking that? I'm curious.
Okay, you want to be honest about that? Chefs and mustaches are hard, and Maddie will tell you right now. Food is constantly in your mustache.
That makes sense.
Good answer.
I don't want my
and,
chef to have a mustache.
And then you want it.
No, I don't.
You don't.
No.
Because it could get, and I try and keep my...
Like, this is a guy that chops meat. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Look at it.
Yeah.
I can't. I try to... People say my beard's famous. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's white.
I like it, yeah.
You know,
Blink-
What's your
It's
trademark?
distinctive.
It's like the Conan swoop.
it's like the...
Pretty sure Abe Lincoln made that famous. You're definitely the runner-up.
You're
now.
right. Well, I'm just going to go with it, Matt. You know what I mean? Abe
You
Lincoln...
look damn good doing it.
Last time I checked, he was long
Whatever
gone.
you do, look good doing
Long
it.
gone.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot
right.
of controversy around Abe Lincoln.
Is that right?
That's
Kentucky
what I
stamp
hear.
of approval.
Kentucky stamp of approval. Talking about, Instagram or social media and stuff like that. Like you guys, you use a lot of that. You're looking at the Instagram all day. You're looking at TikTok all day because I'm addicted to TikTok now.
I
know
don't
what
do
it
the
is.
TikTok so much, but I'm on Instagram. Like that's the way I
Nah.
network. And,
Now, reels are reels, though. You get sucked into
Yeah,
it
you
either
get-
way, no
yeah,
matter
That's
where
the
you
thing,
go.
right? So what I've noticed now is Instagram is now being more like TikTok.
Everything is Facebook, YouTube. They're all
Everything's
implementing
TikTok.
the
So why
real
not just go
feature,
with the
yeah.
leader? Anyway.
Well, that's true. I mean, a
Ask
lot
Maddie
of
about
You want-
TikTok. He's
a
on
lot of
TikTok.
reels on
We're
Instagram
we're
are
just
recycled.
starting to pivot like heavily. All of our media is all vertical now. Everything that we're doing is geared towards that
Because
platform.
I haven't grabbed the TikTok, so you're doing TikTok because I'm gonna have to follow
Yeah, I
you
wouldn't
then.
say we're doing TikTok,
Okay.
but we are preparing ourselves to pivot into the direction where obviously everything is going.
It's
My
good.
thing with the whole, I mean, for me personally, like why I haven't done TikTok is like, I don't know. I take what I do seriously, and like I don't want to have to follow like a goofy trend
I
to
understand.
promote myself.
I
You
can
know, like.
dig it.
know,
So
I
I
think
see a lot of like people in the same industry like going on there, and I'm like, and kind of like to me it's corny.
Yeah.
Where I just want to be like I look to me like with barbering, I've always looked to my first love, which even since a young kid was traditional tattooing, and I look at like would they do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if I saw someone like my favorite tattoo, or like if you saw one of the dudes from the '60s or late '50s doing that on TikTok, it'd be corny. You know, I
would
want
be
my
bad.
like legacy. You know.
What would
There is
Sailor
a
Jerry
fine
do?
line. There is a
Well, I
fine
think there's
line.
also a difference when it comes to building your personal brand and an actual brand.
Right.
Where, like,
100%,
you know,
100%.
like me, I don't even have a personal Instagram. You know what I mean? If I didn't have the Holy Black, I probably wouldn't be on Instagram. But for me, built like at the end of the day, it's all about exposure and eyes, and
Oh,
the more
yeah.
people you can get to see you. You know what I mean? It's not so like yeah, it's still an art and a culture and everything that I'm doing. But at the end of the day, like I'm trying to build a business as big as I can. So I have to exercise every option out there. But I can also agree with Kevin where like you got to kind of know where to draw that line and where like you are taking away from your brand by trying to add value to other demographics.
Which they've always been really good at. So like
I don't see any flaws.
trying to walk-
I don't see any
Wherever
flaws
they've
in your
always
game
been the
on
best
that.
at
trying
that.
to walk that line for
Yeah,
sure.
that's not easy because it is easy to kind of just do what's easy or
Yeah,
or
they give you the
what
template
you
to do
did yesterday.
it,
You
right.
know what I mean? And I don't ever see you guys repeating anything. I mean, yeah. Your brother's not here today, but he seems like a guy that just will, push himself into a space that he's never been in before and have the balls to really do it. And, again, it's why I keep looking, I keep watching, I never turn away, so I could see you guys have a real good vision on that. So as a personal guy, social media probably wouldn't be your thing. You're probably a private guy is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
But you understand the value
Yeah,
that this thing
100%.
has for your business.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never known what the Holy Black was all about without those
Exactly.
videos.
To be honest,
you know
I
what
wouldn't have
mean?
much of a business if it wasn't for social media, to be completely honest. You know
Same.
what I mean?
I mean, I got like probably most of my clients, even from the last business that we worked on, it was a lot of people found us on Instagram.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
crazy to think that, but like if I think if we didn't have Instagram, like it's crazy because you talk to people who have been doing marketing for the past like 50 years or 30 years or whatever it is, and like you talk to them about how to market a business, and you talk to someone like myself who's been marketing a business for the past 10 years, and like it is a completely different strategy. It's a whole nother different game. Like
You could
know
run
what
a
I mean?
marketing seminar.
Yeah, but like 10 years ago,
not
they were
saying.
they were sending mailers to people's houses,
Oh,
like to be able
God.
to.
I remember the first barbershop I was
I
at.
come from that world.
It's a different.
They were doing- they
The
were-
restaurant
the
wanted
Italian
a thing.
penny
We made a
saver.
mailer.
Yeah.
We put it in an envelope and we sent out, 20,000.
I
of
mean,
them.
if you reached out to those guys now and told them that you could use a hashtag and I could write Long Island Barber and contact every single barber on Long Island and then have them at my fingertips and send a message like, hey, what kind of product do you use?
So explain,
Like, you know what I mean?
just explain what that means when you said I could put hashtag Long Island Barber and it's going to reach every guy. How does that work?
We think about it. Like back in the day, you used to pay for lists. Like people used to scrub email lists and scrub everybody's list to be able to get, find those contacts of people, like-minded people. But now, like I can go onto Facebook and I could search a demographic. I could search people that usually are interested in this would also be interested in this, and like I could dial it into like the stuff that I'm sending out is going to the people that want to see it. Like that shit's worth its weight in gold. I could do that shit for free.
And that's the hashtag placement. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Hashtags alone. I mean, hashtags alone. I could search, like I said, I could search Long Island Barber, and I could find almost every single barber on Long Island that's using Instagram, which is all of them,
Wow.
and they're all using the same hashtags. Like I could find all of them, and then I could literally just click follow, click message, and say, hey, what's going on? I'm Matt
How you
from the
guys
Holy
doing?
Black.
Wow.
What kind of products you guys using in your shop? I could do that all day long. By the end of the day, I could probably get 10, 15 new wholesale accounts.
As a barbershop, I used to just search the hashtag of the town we were in and just run through liking people's photos
Yeah.
because it's just gonna pop up our name. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
Well, you
It's
see.
an unbelievable tool.
All right, guys. It was an awesome talk today. I
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you guys again.
just do it again for sure.
Yeah. And again, like I said, this is the Go Crying the Walk-In podcast, and I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know.
I'm crying right now.
Don't cry.
Get to the walk-in. Get to the walk-in.
Put them in the ice box.